But yeah, this has been Will Collins for reporting to you live from the Amazon rainforest. Thank you.
Cut.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Do you want to hear about German filmmaking?
Well, we have the director for you. Who's the director?
Werner Hezog is an acclaimed German filmmaker and documentarian born in 1940.
Thank you, Lewis. He is known for his films such as Fitzcarraldo, a film about Brian Sweeney Fitzgerald, an extremely determined man who intends to build an opera house in the middle of the jungle. Herzog also since made a documentary about the filming of Fitzcarraldo.
He also wrote and directed Heart of Glass, which follows a local artist in a rural community known for making brilliant glass sculptures. They die without passing on to anyone the skills of their known trade. Heightened Beister, who owns the town's glass factory, obsessively attempts to recover the deceased artist's knowledge.
And finally, what would probably be known as his best work, the Nicolas Cage, Jennifer Coolidge classic Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, about a detective addicted to painkillers who has to pull himself back from the edge of insanity and to investigate a series of murders that has the city on edge.
I don't think that's his best work. As Herzog grew up, he had little access to filmmaking, but was determined to make his mark in the industry. Because of his lack of formal training, he struggled to get funded for many of his first films. However, since then, Herzog has written, directed, produced, and narrated nearly all of his films. This complete creative control leaves a unique and identifiable stamp on his films, adequately qualifying him as an auteur. Werner Herzog was born in 1942 in a small village, post-World War II destruction. The violent history of Germany has been of influence for Herzog, showcasing common themes of destruction, violence, and demise of an individual throughout many of his films.
The trees here are in misery and the birds are in misery. I don't think they sing, they just screech in pain.
He sees filmmaking as a very physical creation rather than aesthetic, calling it an athletic endeavor. This way of creating is very present in Fitzcarraldo. Alright, 1 second. So, it took Herzog 4 years to complete the film. Set in the Amazon, the cast and crew had to endure living in the conditions of the jungle. The film revolves around getting a 365-ton steamship over a large hill. And the astonishing thing about the film is that no effects or miniatures were used throughout the whole production. All of it that you see is real. He created an intricate pulling system that was man-powered. The extreme strenuous task of getting the ship over the hill pushed Herzog's idea of the fact that filmmaking being physical is now to a new level. He was on the brink of giving up.
I shouldn't make movies anymore. Should go to a lunatic asylum.
But when asked about where he got the willpower to continue, he said if he was to give up, he would be someone who had no dream left. And without dreams, he would not want to live. This very passion is mirrored in the protagonist of Fitzcarraldo towards the end of the film. The pure relief and joy of Herzog lives on through the screen from his storytelling. It can be concluded that his active and athletic approach on filmmaking is the pivotal core of what makes him an auteur.
Nicely said, Bridget. Very cool. Herzog clearly has some great visions and influences, but how has he executed these? Let's take a delve deep into his 1984 film Fitzcarraldo and talk about how he has encaptured his ideas. As Bridget has referenced above, Herzog says filming is about the pain and the physical exhaustion that comes from making these films. There's no gain without the pain, and that is never more evident than in Fitzcarraldo. Over the 4 years that it took to make Fitzcarraldo, there was many incidents where crew members and extras were severely injured. For example, a cameraman's hand was extremely damaged during the scene where Fitzcarraldo is being swept down the river. Herzog has said, in order to make this scene feel authentic, the entire crew and actors had to live it. So as the giant Fitzcarraldo was swept down the Amazon River, the actors and all the crew were tossed about and thrown all over the boat. A pivotal moment of violence in Fitzcarraldo is the scene where the boat is being pulled up by the hill by the Amazon tribe members. As Brian Sweeney Fitzgerald starts to celebrate the boat's slight movements around him, you slowly see the painful and violent deaths of the tribe members helping to move the boat as they are squashed by the logs and the boat. The comparison of Fitzgerald celebrating and the tribe members dying is a direct tie-in to Herzog's violent upbringing in Germany. Herzog has spoken in past interviews about his connection to Germany's violent past, and through both his feature films and documentaries, Herzog likes to showcase this.
Thanks for that insight, Lewis. Herzog's films often present parallels between opposing forces, such as having tension between the intrinsic purity of humanity, the corrupting influence of society, and the force of nature. Werner's worldview is often seen as anti-humanistic and dreary. Many films feature unrealistic social outcasts whose downfall is often caused by their own desires. As seen in his film Fitzcarraldo, the central character has selfish desires that compromise the safety of his voyage, and in turn leave Fitzcarraldo at the end of the film without completing either of his goals of making money in the rubber industry or building an opera in the middle of the Amazon.
Although political aspects of filmmaking often influence directors, Herzog purposely tries to remove most political and historical context from his films and focuses more on the will of man and the force of nature. Often in interviews, Herzog says that he's a simple man and all he knows how to do is make films, showing that he does not like to associate with politics of his country's past and instead just wants to make art.
I make films because I have not learned anything else, and I know I can do it to a certain degree, and it is my duty.
Something that does deeply influence and inspire Herzog in his filmmaking is opera. It is clearly seen in the film Fitzcarraldo, where the main character's goal and the ending of the film revolve around the topic, but it is also in the storyline itself. As Herzog has often explained that in many operas there are exaggerated emotions and actions that are made to be believable due to the way they are portrayed. This is seen in Fitzcarraldo, where the characters literally pull an enormous boat over a dirt hill, something ridiculous that is made to seem normal by the plot. In the film, opera is even heard throughout it, and Herzog himself has previously directed opera productions. Something that I have taken away from learning about Werner Hezog is his work ethic, as it is really something that is to be admired. In Fitzcarraldo, he really pulled a large boat over a hill using only manpower, and in 2016 alone, he directed 3 feature-length films.